What's going on, guys? Black Scout Survival 89 live. And you may have remembered a video I did maybe 2-3 months ago on Gal Luft. He was a whistleblower going basically exposing that Joe Biden had been paid by the Communist Chinese Party, had ties to them, and he went missing. He's the guy that everyone said was missing, the informant. Well, he actually resurfaced about 5 days ago and released a video stating and the allegations that he had evidence that Joe Biden was owned by the Chinese Communist Party by taking large payouts. Now, just yesterday, he was indicted by the Department of Justice, or the Gestapo, whatever you want to call them at this stage of the game. And he's a whistleblower. Okay, so let me pull up this first article here, and you're going to see Hunter Biden probe unravels after missing informant Gal Luft's Chinese ties. So, did they do this out of retaliation? I think so, somewhat, to make, put fear in anyone who is going to go against the Biden regime, the crime syndicate. But the other big thing about this is to protect Hunter from being prosecuted. So, if you don't remember, this is Gal here. Gal Luft, a central witness in the investigation into the Hunter Biden alleged corrupt connection with the Chinese government, has been indicted by the DOJ for failure to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. He's also been charged with arms trafficking, violations of Iranian sanctions, and making false statements to federal agents. Now, he's a dual citizen. He's a U.S. and an Israel citizen, and he's accused of using his position as the co-director of analysis of global security, which is a strategic think tank, to clandestinely recruit and pay high-ranking officials from the Trump administration to advocate for policies beneficial to China. And obviously, he did not register as an agent with a foreign entity. Luft identified this official as James Woolsey, a former CIA director and consultant for Luft's think tank. Also said that Woolsey was the senior advisor during the Trump administration. So, of course, they're trying to smear Donald Trump in this thing as well. And in this article here in Newsweek, basically it says, oh, all the Republican, representatives are trying to get Hunter. But as you see here, a credible witness on the Biden family corruption. So they're trying to say that this guy, they're trying to kill his credibility because they're trying to link these ties, and he's an arms dealer and all this stuff. And people right here, you can see Dr. Gal Luft is world-renowned expert on energy security, economics, geopolitics, and has written 5 books. He's a man of total integrity and honesty. We are confident of his innocence. But again, here they're throwing conservatives under the bus in this article. They're saying, essentially that the conspiracy theories and what have you. But of course, again, they're trying to smear Donald Trump in this. But who else would know and have the ability to provide evidence and exacting details on the Biden crime syndicate other than someone who was working with this Chinese energy company? But now he's looking at decades behind bars, and obviously it's a technique to shut someone up. That's what they do to people. Anyone that you've seen as of late, Donald Trump, obviously, indictment after indictment, anyone who goes against this regime is being indicted. Whistleblowers are supposed to be protected by law, but with the Bidens, we see that law and justice has been thrown out the window. Now, I do want to show you real quick the video from Gal Luft and let you hear his side of this. Now, he was repeatedly prevented from taking steps that would have, to expose this. So he actually went back in 2019 to give this information because he heard that Joe Biden was going to run for president. He thought, hey, we have to get this information out there. This guy's running for president. and he's obviously a paid Chinese operative. So let's get it out there. So I'm gonna let you hear this from this guy's. This is the video from 5 days ago.
Good day. My name is Dr. Gal Luft. For the past 20 years, I have been the co-director of the Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, a Washington-based think tank focused on energy security. For the past 15 years, I've been a resident of Israel. And for 4 years, I was senior advisor to the China energy company CFC, at the same time of its dealings with the Biden family. Under normal.
So what better guy than the man who is working for the energy company than than this guy? He knows firsthand of the dealings with the Bidens and the Chinese.
Experience with CFC. Sadly, due to circumstances I shall describe here in this video, I am forced to tell you this story via video. My ordeal goes back to a fatal decision I made in March of 2019 to share with the US government my knowledge about the Biden family's relations with CFC. As I said, it was in March of 2019 in a 2-day session at the US Embassy in Brussels. I insisted that the meeting take place in March because at the time there were.
So he met at the embassy in Brussels to go ahead and expose this information.
Rumors that Joe Biden was planning to run for president. I saw it as my civic duty to alert the government beforehand and give it enough time to probe the issue. I want to be clear. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I have no political motive or agenda. I did it out of deep concern that if the Bidens were to come to power, the country would be facing the same traumatic Russia collusion scandal, only this time with China. Sadly, because of the DOJ's cover-up, this is exactly what happened. The DOJ sent to Brussels a delegation of 6 people, 2 prosecutors from the Southern District of New York, by the names of Daniel Reichenthal and Catherine Ghosh, and 4 FBI agents. One of them was Special Agent Joshua Wilson from the Baltimore field office, which also happens to cover the state of Delaware. Now you want to ask yourself, why did the government dispatch to Europe so many people?
This is important here, what he's talking about this FBI agent, okay? And this guy has been hiding out because his attorneys told him that they had word that there was a hit out on this guy.
People. Why 6? Why not 2? The answer is that they knew very well that I'm a credible witness and that I have insider knowledge about the group and the individuals that enriched the Biden family. Over an intensive 2-day meeting, I shared my information about the Biden family's financial transactions with CFC, including specific dollar figures. I also provided the name of Rob Walker, who later became known as Hunter Biden's.
So these figures that he shared, right now, this information was not public. You know, you've heard these numbers yourself through every single media source in the world, but his numbers match the same numbers that we come to later hear. So pretty damning evidence. This guy said exactly what the number was.
Bagman. Yet, as we now know today from the whistleblower testimony, Gary Shapley, it took the DOJ a whole 21 months to probe the issue and to actually talk to Walker. But perhaps the most alarming information I revealed was of a mole within the DOJ who shared classified information with Hunter Biden and his Chinese partners. I told the DOJ that Hunter...
If you recall, that's what I said 2 or 3 months ago in the video. This guy and his attorneys found that this special agent that came to Brussels for this meeting, which he thought was odd, everyone thought was odd, is the inside man for Hunter Biden and his Chinese partners. You see the DOJ going after all these people that are going against the Bidens. Like, you look at history and look at a lot of presidents in history and how corrupt some of them may have been or how bad some of them, Clintons, you name it. But I'm telling you right now, the Bidens are the worst in American history. They literally are. I know guys get all tore up about Trump's mean tweets, but I'm telling you, these guys are pure evil. Pure evil.
Was closely associated with a very senior retired FBI official who had distinct physical characteristic. He had one eye. One of the FBI agents at the time even told me, that would be very easy for us to find. There aren't that many one-eyed people in the Bureau. The information I provided the FBI.
Someone said that Shapiro did a video on this guy earlier today. Yeah. Did Shapiro do a video on it 3 months ago when I did? Ask yourself that question.
In March of 2019 was fully corroborated 9 months later when the famous laptop belonging to Hunter Biden, which contained all the emails and receipts, was handed to the FBI. And guess who seized the laptop from the computer repair shop? It was Special Agent Joshua Wilson, who was with me in Brussels earlier. In other words, the FBI knew about, from me, about the Biden CFC deals.
So Special Agent Wilson was the one also involved in getting the laptop, acquiring the laptop. He's the one that went to Brussels for this meeting. He has been the inside man. He's to protect the Bidens. He's getting information. He's also the one linked to the IRS whistleblower that I'm going to talk about in a moment. So this guy is the pivot man for the Bidens.
Before they got hold of the laptop, way before. They had enough time to investigate the issue, but they didn't. After Brussels, I never heard back from the DOJ, but instead of showing appreciation for my whistleblowing, I became public enemy number one. Over the past 4 years that followed, me, my family, my friends, my associates, we were all harassed, intimidated, and finally, I was prosecuted. Despite all that, on the eve of the 2020 elections, I sent my lawyer to Washington to meet with then acting Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Richard Donoghue, to ensure he was informed about the information I had given his department in Brussels 19 months earlier. And also to warn him that there may still be a mole within the DOJ. Mr. Donoghue confirmed to my lawyer that he was aware of my claims, but now we learn from the IRS whistleblower that it was Rich Donoghue himself who suspended the investigation a few weeks earlier on September 4th, 2020, on the ground that it was, quote, too close to the election.
You notice how everything happened when it was too close to the election. I actually got my video removed from YouTube that was on the Hunter Biden laptop. It was removed and I got a strike, and literally I was demonetized for probably a year and a half following that video. Okay. And with demonetization comes shadow banning, meaning your content doesn't get shared. And I don't think I still get shared to this day. I think I'm on like the permanent shadow ban list. But I want you to take a look at this guy. You hear him talking. He's a doctor. He's, an intelligent guy. Do you really think this guy is a freaking arms dealer? Does this man look like an arms dealer to you? I mean, get real. I mean, they'll throw anything on you. That's why you have to be very careful. Andrew Tate is going through stuff. I think Tucker Carlson just went over there to Romania to interview him. But a big thing about that is that the Department of Homeland Security sent correspondence to Romania stating they wanted to keep Tate locked up. They did not want him released, but he wound up getting released anyway. But he's on house arrest, but they wanted him to stay behind bars. And I would like to tell you that it's probably due to the upcoming election. They don't want anybody of influence online spouting these things off. And I'm telling you right now, if you think the suppression's bad now, wait to coming into 2024 election. You will not be able to say anything about the Bidens. You about can't now. The video I just did the other day, I got demonetized for Hunter Biden. Anytime you talk about him, this one's probably going to get demonetized as well. Anytime you talk about him, you get demonetized. You get your video shadow banned. I was shadow banned. I had a 48-hour shadow ban. I posted a video the following day. Nobody saw it because it was shadow banned. But I didn't get my email that I was, in trouble for 30 hours. So I didn't even know I'd already posted the video. But I'm telling you, it's going to get worse coming in this time. And we're going to actually talk more about that towards the end. We'll let him talk some more.
Finally, in February this year, I was arrested in Cyprus on an extradition request from the Southern District of New York, the very same office that met with me in Brussels. The 7-count indictment said I violated the Arms Export Control Act, and if I convicted, I would face up to 100 years in prison. While I was detained in Cyprus, I was portrayed in the international media as an arms dealer, even though I never traded a bullet in my entire life. In fact, nowhere in my indictment the DOJ claimed or presented evidence that I bought, sold, shipped, or financed any weapons. I was also charged with acting as an unregistered agent of CFC, which is a FARA violation. The DOJ says that I caused the payment of $6,000 a month to former CIA Director James Woolsey in order to put his name on an article I had ghostwritten for the China Daily newspaper. Nowhere in the indictment, the DOJ mentioned the well-known fact that Mr. Woolsey had been an advisor to my think tank since 2002. And that there was nothing in the article that represented Chinese interest. To the contrary, the notion that I, Gal Luft, spoon-fed a CIA director with policy proposals on China, treating him like a useful idiot, is not only an insult to the intelligence community, it is an insult to the intelligence of every American. The US government claims that I acted on behalf of CFC, and therefore I'm a foreign agent. But let me tell you a little secret. The same CFC that the US government claims was associated with the Chinese intelligence and, quote, an international criminal organization, was a 501c3 charitable organization registered in the state of Virginia and approved by the IRS. The same organization was also a major donor to the Clinton Foundation and Columbia University. Needless to say that none of their executives were charged for any wrongdoing. If CFC was indeed a foreign...
So we've actually seen this happen in recent history where, for example, Jordan Neely, the guy on the subway, where they charge the young Marine, but the other two guys that were actually holding him down did not get charged. But if you go back to George Floyd, all those officers were charged, even though some of them were just standing up. They weren't even, involved in subduing George Floyd. So you see here, he's saying he's being charged all these things, but everybody else involved is not being charged because why? He's the freaking whistleblower. He's the one that came out.
Entity tied so closely to the PRC, why was it allowed to operate freely as a public charity? Why did the government expose taxpayers to the risk of funding an entity it knew at the time was so compromised? Why did they not warn anybody? Isn't the role of government to protect its people?
Yeah, I can answer that. And it is, but not happening in America. They're not protecting people. We've known that since 2020. Come on.
I'm also being charged for making a false statement in Brussels. But why was I in Brussels to begin with? Was I there to eat Belgian waffles? The DOJ charged me for making a statement in a voluntary meeting that would have never come to bear if not for my good citizenship. So let me propose an idea. Why won't the DOJ make my indictment public? Do it. Make my day. Put it on your website so that every American can see the nature of the allegations against me, the quality of the evidence, and the length the government is willing.
We've seen the indictments of Trump day after day, week after week, and none of them are, I mean, all of them are nonsense, right? So at this stage of the game, anyone that they go after, they don't really need any real evidence. They're just going to slam things on you. And I hope anyone that is going against them on any level realizes the kind of danger you're putting yourself in. Until the tides turn, which I don't see them being turned, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment, but I don't see the tides being turned. So expect you're going to get it at some level and at every level. Just because you're not this guy at this level doing these sort of things, they will wreak havoc on you. Okay, maybe it's the IRS is just going to come up to your house and say, we need to audit you. You never know what it could be. Maybe you get pulled over, you know. It doesn't matter. They're coming after people, anyone who has any sort of influence. They're going to try to scare, put them in jail.
Willing to go to weaponize the justice system to punish whistleblowers like me. I have another idea. Why won't the FBI submit to Congress the minutes from the Brussels meeting? Let everybody see what happened in Brussels. Why not? Are you trying to protect anything? Are you trying to protect anybody? I also hope that the DOJ can explain why they targeted me in Cyprus and not in my home country of Israel, where I reside most of the time. After all, the US shares a bilateral extradition treaty with Israel. So if any of my crimes are real and serious, and this is not just political prosecution, why did the US need to sneak up on me during a short visit to Cyprus? Do they not trust the Israeli judicial system to judge this issue on its merits? What's going on here? Also, why did the DOJ wait 6 whole years, well beyond the statute of limitation, to indict me? And why did the DOJ choose to unseal the indictment on November 1st, 2022, the very same week of the midterm elections? Could this have anything to do with the fact or the fear that once Republicans gain control over Congress and begin to investigate, their cover-up would be in full display? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why am I being indicted for FARA, for ghostwriting an innocuous article for which I received no payment, let alone from a foreign government, when the mother of all FARA cases, the Biden systemic influence peddling on behalf of foreign governments for which they raked millions, goes unpunished?
So yeah, the Biden crime syndicate is extremely powerful. You've probably seen the headlines that a judge is going after their influence on social media, the Bidens specifically. And the DOJ has actually came against the judge, saying that I guess they're suing the judge. The DOJ has become the Gestapo. They're handling things that's not even part of them. Even in the early days of him sitting in the presidential seat, he was going to push the DOJ to try to take firearms. So everyone should be awakened to this now. The DOJ is the Biden Gestapo. They're completely corrupt, completely evil. They need to be disbanded and really all the alphabet agencies do. But the fact of the matter is that they stated that the Biden administration on a whole nother level has destroyed the First Amendment. Okay. They pretty much curate every social media company on what can be posted online. Hence why I got hit and still get hit on anything that talks about Hunter Biden, right? Bill Gates was the guy. Bill Gates is a guy you can't really talk about either. I've been nailed to the wall plenty of times for him, but Hunter is a whole nother level. Okay, you cannot talk about him. And if you do, you're risking everything. Okay, so what we know at the surface, okay, what we hear a lot of terrible things. We have this guy, we have all these terrible things with Joe Biden, but I can tell you it's just skimming the surface. There's probably so much more that we don't know that would totally flip this country on its head. And it's probably been going on for a very long time with this family. Okay. And why I say probably the most corrupt family in American history. And it's going to come to surface eventually. But if you recall, we just talked about this the other day as well. The IRS whistleblower in the Hunter Biden investigation was prevented from taking steps that he would have considered routine, right? In other cases. You see here in the even the headline, we had IRS whistleblowers come forward and say they couldn't ask about dad or the big guy, so they couldn't investigate that. And this guy that was part of this investigative team. He was a 14-year veteran of the IRS Criminal Investigation Unit. So he's not some fresh guy off the street. He was one of the guys who's been in this game for 14 years. But not only that, they're trying to smear that guy's name, the IRS agents that came forward from Hunter Biden. And the real wild thing about the Hunter Biden investigation is that it started from a foreign adult pornography website. They were investigating that, and Hunter Biden was linked to that. And it led to this. Then we have the laptop popping up. We have Gal Love popping up in 2019. But they're trying to smear these IRS agents that try to do their job. They're trying to smear Trump along with this as well, with the Gal Luft. They're saying he's an arms dealer. They have no evidence of him ever having a bullet around, like they said. And no one is blinking a freaking eye about any of these things. In my opinion, we are so far gone. And they're going after the opposition with the Gestapo and trumping up charges, no pun intended, on anyone who gets in the way. You guys remember that Zelensky just said 2 weeks ago that there will be no 2024 Ukrainian elections if the war is still going on in Ukraine. Of course they're not. Of course they're not. You do away with elections. That's how you start. That's how you start down the road of dictatorship. Do away with the elections. Find a reason to do away with them. It makes me think, why are we posturing so much for World War III? Because you can say all day, Jack, you're clickbaiting. Dudes, we're on the cusp of it. No question. No, we've never been so close in our freaking lifetime. And we have Lindsey Graham, senator from my state, getting on stage in front of the media and essentially saying that we, America, will attack Russia. And he's in no position to make those threats. He's not. He's a freaking senator from South Carolina. And he's sitting here making threats to Russia, right? We know he's a rhino. And we know he's one of the ones that always votes for the Democrats. And I'm sure you can look back on interviews, because I've seen them, where he says Hillary Clinton is his best friend. Now, you tell me how that can be the case. My advice, though, is to work on your preparations. Everything that you need to live, to self-sustain yourself to live. Food, water. Make sure you have the ability to do medical, antibiotics, gas mask. Make sure you're working on your fighting skills, your fitness. Be hard, be a warrior. Start living the Spartan lifestyle. You know, I've talked about that before, and I've got a truck talking about that next week. You'll see. discussing this, but you better start living the Spartan lifestyle. Life could get unpleasant. You know, in the Marine Corps, we talked about, you know, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And you may need to start practicing that. There's a reason why men go off in the woods and go sleep on the ground, right? Is because it reminds you. It's like, why I work out in the garage with no fan and no AC. So when it's cold, it's cold. And when it's hot, it's really hot. You know, you don't want to get soft. And like Dustin just said, one of our tribe members, that mental mindset is so important. And putting yourself through physical stress is one of the best ways to develop that mental sharpness. And being physically fit, putting yourself in hard conditions, you know, we get so soft. Even, you know, even me, you notice you sleeping on that nice mattress and stuff. Maybe sleep on the floor every now and again. Remember what it feels like. Sleep on the ground outside. Go golf with some buddies, and pull fire watch throughout the night where you're not getting a full night's sleep because you got to pull fire watch. Fire watch is essentially a term of someone pulls security, so not everybody goes to sleep. And look, I know this isn't a tactical video, but I would, for anyone who's never been in the military, doesn't know, not everybody goes to sleep at night, right? Someone has to stay up and keep security, make sure some bad guys don't walk up on you. Just put that back in your mind back there. All right. Work on your fitness, work on your fighting skills, get your preparations. I've got links to everything that you could possibly want down below in the description bar. Just go check it out. And guys, I just don't think it's no going back. Maybe I'm black pilled. Maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow. But at this point in time, we had the Department of Justice going after everyone that is opposing this. And it's like, to me, they're not going to want a 2024 election either. Maybe we'll be in World War III by then. Anyhow, guys, leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. And we're going to stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous, because you're going to need it.